Hello, this is Tamsin Astor, author of Force of Habit, Unleash Your Power by Developing Great Habits, due August 15, 2018, published by Mango. I'm also your chief habit scientist, helping you organize yourself so that you have time for what you want and need and time for fun. Today I want to talk about this concept called Grenzbegriff. It's a German word which, like a lot of other languages, they have these words for things that we don't have a unique word for in the English language. And I stumbled across this word recently and I just thought, this is such a freaking awesome word to explain something that we're all aware of, that we all know, but we may not have a specific term for. Grenzbegriff means that which is real but is beyond analysis, beyond description. That which is real but is beyond analysis, beyond description. The first time I really came across this concept was when I was about 12 years old, just before my 12th birthday. I grew up in central London and I started taking the red London buses to school. And the bus had, in those days, had an open back that you could jump on and off, before the stops or at the traffic lights. They're a little bit dangerous, but they were really fun. And it was the first day going to school and I got to the bus stop, and in classic London bus style, a clump of buses all arrived together. And I was just crossing the road to get to the bus stop and I saw my two friends who were going to go on the bus with me, wave at me like, we'll see you at school. And they jumped on the first bus and I was like, oh, okay. So I went off on my own, got on the next bus and happily plodding along, all was good. And then I got up to walk towards the end of the bus to get off at my bus stop, and the bus sailed past my bus stop, the one for school. And what I hadn't realised was that the school bus stop was a request stop. That is, that the bus would not stop if I didn't ding the bell to tell the driver that he needed to stop there, because it was not such a frequently used bus stop. So my next memory was leaning out of the bus to look and see how far away the next bus stop was, and would I be able to jump out of the traffic lights before then, or was I going to be horribly late for school? And I was one of those nerdy kids that really never ever wanted to be late for school. The next thing I knew was I was walking down the street. I'd split open my nose, split open my top and my bottom lip, sliced open my eye, black eye, sliced up my hand, torn up my knees, created a whole mess, and I'd concussed myself. I didn't know my name, I didn't know my phone number, I didn't know what the day of the week was, and I was just walking down the street gushing blood, but walking determinedly to school. And the reason I know this is that a couple who were eating breakfast took me in, and all I could say was that I'm going to school. I didn't know my name, I didn't know my phone number, I didn't know anything apart from the fact that I was going to school. Finally, they, after a number of attempts of me just coming out with totally ridiculous names and phone numbers, they landed on I landed on a phone number that was right. And they called my mother and got me to the hospital. But prior to this, my mother received a phone call. Before she got a call from this random couple on the Goldhawk Road in London, she received a phone call from my grandmother. And my grandmother was a really wild, crazy, amazing woman who'd grown up in England and had a really difficult childhood, and then had gone to Africa after training as a nurse, and was a nurse during World War II. And she was psychic. And her psychic visions were always about bad things happening, about people she knew and loved when something bad was going to happen. They were going to die, the plane they were on was going to crash, something terrible had happened. So my mum was sitting there quietly having a cup of coffee at home, thinking that everything's fine, her kids have gone off to school, and she gets this call from my grandmother saying, Tammy never made it to school today. And my mother was like, oh, she did, of course she did. My grandmother said, call the school. So my mother called the school, and lo and behold, I had not turned up at school. Not much longer after that, I figured out what my phone number was, or I recalled it after the smack on my face falling off at 40 miles an hour. And I was tracked down and taken to hospital. So, Grenzbegriff, something that is known, something that is real, but is beyond analysis and description. And that, for me, was my grandmother. My grandmother was somebody who had a connection that didn't make sense to me. I was very into science at school. I didn't really understand how what she was doing and feeling fit in with my understanding of the mind and the brain and the human body and how it all functioned. So there's lots of other examples out there in the world of that, but that was my first example of Grenzbegriff, that which is known but is beyond analysis and description. Have a great day, guys.